Chapter 1. Squatting down in the wet sand, I slid my knife in between her legs. Hold still. Wait, she gasped. I lowered the blade in my tone. I won't hurt you, but I don't have time to wait. With a yank, I cut the rope around her ankles. The bandit that jumped you, was it man or woman? I freed her hands and then did the same for the old man beside her. There were no ropes on his ankles, as he had only one. His left leg was gone from the knee down. Man or woman? I said again, more insistent this time. Woman? The old man grunted. And she was one wily bitch. Anticipation tightened my grip on the knife. Are you sure? Thin and raggedy, he squinted at me like I was 100 miles away. You saying I don't know a female when I see one? You think these wrinkles make me daft? That's not... I ran an exasperated hand over my face. Maybe you're thinking I'm one of them damn eunuchs, he went on. That just 'cause I'm a gimp I don't look like I could work a set of father? Please, the girl scolded, shoving a curtain of frizzy brown hair out of her face. She shifted in the dirt to face him. This man stopped to help us, and you're angering him, she whispered. I'm not angry, I assured her. I just need to know. He ain't talking to you anyhow, girl, her father snapped. Now fetch me my crutch, it's in the wagon. I offered his daughter a hand up. She gave me a hesitant look, so I made the choice for her, gripped her arm and pulled her to her feet. I don't bite, I said. Of course not, she said shyly. I took my hand away. As she rushed the short distance down the row, her father's squint transferred back to me. And just so we're clear, that was no man's ass bouncing on my horse as it rode away. My stolen horse, he groused. Damn filthy brigands, taking what they please, leaving nothing for the rest of us. Petulance made his long face even longer. They make it so man can't travel in peace anymore. I glanced around at the flat, open grassland and the sandy, barren road that seemed to go on forever. You shouldn't be out here. Remote places like this are a haven for things a lot worse than thieves. Like you, he said with a gnawing gleam in his eye. You're that Shinree, the one with the white hair and the eyes and the magic. We all have white hair and eyes, old man. And magic. Ha! He wagged a bowed, shaky finger at me. But they ain't out like you. I tell him every day that we should move, Rosalind said, then returning with a wooden crutch as worn and craggy as the man that used it. It isn't safe, being on our own with no neighbors to speak of. She's got a point, I said, putting my knife away. Bending, I bore the man's slight weight and helped him stand. King Ryan's law doesn't reach these outer regions, and Langor's borders are no more than a day's ride. A point, he grumbled. Rosalind's always got a point, but that border's been nothing but a crooked line on a map for years. The Langorians don't cross it to bother us. They don't bother nobody. That's not since the war. And you know that, he said to me as I took the crutch from Rosalind and positioned it under his arm. You saw to that. Rosalind shushed him. She turned to me. I'm sorry. He's always going on. It's fine. I stepped away to my horse. Having wandered off the road, the mare was uprooting great clumps of grass from the pasture and swallowing like she knew it wouldn't last. I don't have much food, I called back to them. I haven't seen a village for a while, and I've been hunting on the road for weeks, but I'll give you what I can. That's kind of you, said Rosalind, coming over. But unnecessary, she lowered her voice. My father doesn't mean any harm. You seem to be in a hurry, and we don't want any trouble. Your father is trouble, I grinned. Rosalind had a giggle behind her hand. I know, I'm sorry, she said again. Your attacker, did she leave you anything? Just the one horse in the wagon. Really, though, we're all right, she said firmly. I appreciate your charity, but we don't have too far to go. It's not charity. I pulled out a flask and put it in her hand. It's water. Rosalind offered me a grateful smile. Her close-set eyes were ringed and tired, but I saw strength in them and outright unremitting endurance. It was a trait I was familiar with, and added to her brown hair, brown eyes, and her normal everyday features. I was able to say with confidence, You're Rellan. I am. Her stare flitted to my hair. And you're Shinree. There was something in her voice. You can't decide if that should worry you? Rosalind shrugged it. Our village is small. We don't go into the towns much, so... Am I the first you sing? No, but you're not like them. You're not like the slaves I remember. Because he's not one! Hobbling closer, his father wormed in between us. He leaned over toward me so far I thought he would fall off his crutch. Got business out here, do ya? Planning on sneaking over and dealing with those Langorian fuckers another round? Maybe you ought to shove one of them spells of yours right up Dragon's ass while you're at it. I'm all for that. He chuckled slyly, eyes twinkling like we were in some great conspiracy together. Sorry, I said, just passing through. Oh, are you now? He let out a snort. Like they just let you Shinree folk run all over wild and free like you please. Only them healers get to do that, or one of them showy oracle types. And since every oracle I've ever met was looser than a bow-legged whore, I'm guessing you're not that. Rosalind gasped in horror. Father, how can you say such a thing? It's okay, I told her. He's right. I'm not an oracle or a healer. I glanced at her as I tied my bag shut. "And I'm not a bow-legged," I said, making her blush. Muttering to himself, her father backed up a step and made no attempts to hide his in-depth study of me. He peered boldly at my swords, my boots, the braces on my arms, even my dusty leather coat, like they told him everything he needed to know. "Yep," he said decisively. "You're him. You're that soldier, that Troy fellow that fought in the war." "The war's been over 10 years, old man." "Yeah, you don't think I know that." His tone turned serious. "I know what you did." My jaw clenched. I looked past him to Rosalind. Her eyes had fear in them now, but it couldn't be helped. "Which way did she go?" "In there." Rosalind gave a jerk of her head, and I followed it to the large expanse of a swamp to the east. Bordering all three kingdoms of Rella, Kale, and Langor, as well as the outskirts of the uninhabited wasteland where the Shinree Empire once stood, the broad swath of marshland had been aptly and unimaginably named the northern borderlands, encasing near the entire northeast and a bit of the south. The thick, dark, vast wall of vegetation was topped with an even thicker, darker roof of swollen gray clouds. Where the swamp's edge bled out into the meadow was a good mile away, yet distance wasn't doing a damn thing to blunt the sweet fragrance of rot on the wind. "I hear the place is more foul than even Langor," Rosalind said nervously. "Nothing's more foul than Langor." I studied the shadowy clouds gathering over the dense wetlands. "But I'm guessing it'll be a close second." Her father tapped my leg with his crutch. "So what are you now? It ain't ever easy putting down the sword, so I'm guessing mercenary? Bounty hunter? Or did she just piss you off?" "I've done both," I relented. "Mostly bounties for the last couple years, though. But pissed off works, too." Taking the reins of my hand, I started back into the twisted mess of overgrowth and fog. Tracking through it was going to be difficult. Not with magic, I thought, knowing it wouldn't take much. A simple tracking spell, and I'd have her by nightfall. The stone on the cord around my neck warmed. My pulse jumped. Tightening the reins in my hand, I shook off the urge. "When did she leave?" Rosalind scanned the sky. 2 or 3 hours ago." Her gaze fell to mine. "Who wants her? Your lady outlaw?" "She escaped from the city prison in Kale a couple months back. But from the moment of bodies under her belt, I imagine a lot of people." "Well, she's met her match now," her father said boldly. No way some girlie with a sword is more dangerous than you, a Shinree soldier." "I know what you did," he said again. I nodded. "Do we have a problem?" "I was an army man myself," he said, completely disregarding my question. "First Lieutenant, Keen's regiment. In fact, the last time I had 2 good feet under me, I was standing guard at the very gates of the castle. That was—" his eyes wandered. "Must be 25, 26 years ago. But you were probably too young to remember." "Remember what?" "How it smelled the day King Draken burned Rella's greatest city to the ground." "Capri," I said. "I was 6. I remember well enough." "Things turned straight to shit after that day. Rella issued a formal declaration of war on Langor, and I sat around with one leg." He slapped it angrily. "Growing old and useless while everyone else was sent off and died defending my home." Rosalind put a hand on her father. "Father, don't." "Hush, girl." Craning his neck, he looked around me to the packs on my saddle. "So where is it then, that filthy piece of magic? I'm guessing there's no way King Rellan let you keep it." I pictured the crown of stone where I left it 10 years ago, in Rella's capital, on the island city of Capri, nestled in the folds of Elagar's burial robes. "It's safe." He watched a moment. "You know I get it what it was like. I did my time on the line. Reports would trickle in, the massacres in the villages, the kidnappings. I can imagine the things you saw. How desperate it was at the end. The bastards were whipping us pretty good those last few months. But damn, son! There had to be another way." "Another way!" My anger flared. The expectance in his voice, it was like I owned him an explanation. Like he wanted me to swear that I tried everything else first, that I did everything I could to find a peaceful solution. It was all they wanted. But I didn't. And I had to live with that truth every single day. I said again, "Do we have a problem?" Tilting his head, he held my gaze pretty steady for his age. "Stories say you and Troy could fell a man in less than a minute. Of course, you were younger then. Probably take you at least 2 now, eh?" Grinning slightly, he shrugged. "Nah, you best be on your way. I'm too old for problems." "Good." I put a boot in stirrup and climbed into the saddle. "And you got some chasing ahead of you anyway," he said. "Chasing." He gave me a measured, weighty glance. "And I'm thinking maybe some running, too."